This is the city that never sleeps. A melting pot of cultures, home to over 8 million people, half of which are millionaires. This concrete jungle is one of the most densely populated places in all of North America. But it wasn't always this way. So today, we're going to take a look back at the history of architecture in New York. New York is made up of 5 different boroughs: Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island. But today, we're only going to be focusing on Manhattan because it est the birthplace of the city. And before we get into it, make sure you subscribe for more fun history videos. When the Dutch West India Company first claimed the area of Manhattan for the Dutch in 1624, they named it New Amsterdam after the capital city of Amsterdam. The settlement was located on the southern tip of Manhattan Island with wooden houses built right along the Hudson River. The river was not only used for transportation, but also as a source of drinking water. Can you imagine taking a swim in that? Not me! The population of New Amsterdam was sparse, with only around 1,000 people living there by the year 1638. Back then, Manhattan looked like a forest full of farms and windmills, with some small cottages sprinkled in between. The streets were unpaved and followed the natural landscape of the island. Buildings were constructed from wood since brick-making was not yet developed in the colonies. Roofs were either thatched or had wooden shingles. Most homes had dirt floors and were heated by fireplaces. Lighting was provided by oil lamps or candles due to the lack of electricity and gas. The buildings that were constructed in the early days of the city would be very similar to what you might have seen in Europe during that time period. But how did these simple settlements turn into the towering skyscrapers we see today? Well, let's find out. In 1664, the English took control of New Amsterdam and renamed it New York. During the next century, the city grew rapidly and became an important commercial center. Brick became the primary material for building construction as skilled European immigrants arrived in the colonies. The streets were gradually paved and the grid system that we still use today was established. As the city expanded, larger public spaces such as Bowling Green Park were created for leisure activities. In fact, this park is the oldest park in all of New York City. By the end of the 1700s, New York was one of the largest cities in British America, with many buildings in the Georgian architectural style. This was primarily due to the wealthy elite class who wanted their mansions to reflect the grandeur of King George. During this time, row houses also started to become popular, typically 3 to 4 stories tall, and were occupied by working class families. The first purpose-built apartment complex in New York was constructed in 1785. It was called Rutgers Buildings and was located at the corner of 4th Avenue and 12th Street. This 80-unit building was designed by Christopher J. Rootson, hence the name. As the country began to develop, New Yorkers needed a place to conduct business. So, in 1797, the first purpose-built office building in New York was completed. It was called the Tontine Building and was located on the corner of Wall and Broadway. With New York being such a busy port city, trade and commerce were essential to the economy. And with that came a need for warehouses. In 1811, the first cast iron building in New York was constructed as a warehouse. These buildings were taller than anything built before them and featured innovative use of materials that allowed for larger windows and more open floor space. After the War of 1812, immigration to the United States increased dramatically, and many Europeans settled in New York. This led to rapid population growth and the city's expansion northward. In 1827, the Erie Canal opened, connecting the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean via the Hudson River. This made it easier for goods to be transported and helped fuel the city's economic growth. The canal also brought fresh water from the upstate regions, which helped solve the issue of providing clean drinking water for the residents. By the mid-1800s, New York was a bustling metropolis with a diverse population. The Five Points neighborhood was one of the most densely populated areas in the world and was known for its poverty and crime. Contrastingly, The wealthy lived in neighborhoods like Greenwich Village and Soho. The brownstone was the predominant building material for housing during this time and remains a symbol of New York architecture. As the Industrial Revolution continued into the late 1800s, new technologies and building methods allowed for the construction of taller and more elaborate structures. In 1854, the first steel-framed building was erected in New York City. The Home Life building was only 4 stories tall, but paved the way for future innovations. During the 1860s, New York experienced significant population growth due to the influx of Irish immigrants who fled the potato famine in Ireland. This led to overcrowding and the spread of diseases in the slums. In response to these conditions, reformers and architects began to plan for more open spaces and parks throughout the city. Central Park was the first large-scale project completed in 1857 and served as a model for other cities around the world. On May 1865, President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. His funeral procession made its way through the streets of New York City. To honor his memory, hundreds of thousands of people lined the streets to pay their respects. The massive turnout overwhelmed the city's resources, and many people fainted or collapsed due to exhaustion and lack of food and water. The event was known as Black Friday and left a lasting impact on New York. In the following years, reforms were made to improve the city's infrastructure and services to prevent such tragedies from happening again. In 1889, the World's Fair was held in New York to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The fair showcased the latest innovations and inventions of the time and attracted millions of visitors from around the world. One of the most iconic structures built for the fair was a 77-meter-tall, 250-foot Eiffel Tower replica. During this time, New York saw the emergence of the skyscraper. In 1885, the first skyscraper was built in the city. It was called the Home Insurance Building and was only 10 stories tall. However, it introduced a new way of constructing buildings using steel frames and elevators, which allowed them to reach new heights. By the turn of the century, New York was home to several skyscrapers, including the iconic Flatiron Building and the Woolworth Building. The early 1900s saw significant changes in New York's skyline. The Chrysler Building and the Empire State Building were constructed, becoming some of the tallest structures in the world. Art Deco became a popular architectural style during this period, influencing the design of many buildings, including the famous Rainbow Room. In 1929, the stock market crashed, leading to the Great Depression and affecting the entire world. Construction projects were halted as the economy struggled to recover. During the 1930s, the Works Progress Administration, also known as the WPA, was created to provide jobs for unemployed Americans. One of their most notable projects was the construction of the Triborough Bridge, which connected boroughs and facilitated transportation. The mid-20th century brought new challenges and opportunities to New York. After World War II, the population of New York City reached over 8 million people, making it one of the most densely populated cities in the world. The influx of new residents led to the development of new neighborhoods and the revitalization of older ones. In the 1950s, the city experienced a construction boom with the completion of several iconic buildings, including the Seagram Building and the Leva House. These modern office towers set new standards for luxury and efficiency. In the 1960s, the city faced financial difficulties, leading to a decline in its infrastructure and services. However, the construction of the World Trade Center in the 1970s brought hope for a revival. The Twin Towers were designed to symbolize the city's resilience and its position as a global hub for international trade. The 1980s saw a resurgence of development in New York. Major projects like the renovation of Grand Central Terminal and the construction of the Dakota Towers revitalized key parts of the city. In 1986, the first phase of Battery Park City was completed, offering new housing and recreational opportunities. Throughout the 1990s, the city continued to attract new residents and businesses, leading to further development and growth. Major construction projects such as the expansion of the Jacob K. Javits Convention Center and the renovation of the historic Pennsylvania Station contributed to the city's modernization and growth. In the early 2000s, New York experienced a real estate boom, with the completion of several luxury high-rise residential buildings. Projects like the Freedom Tower and the Oculus Transportation Hub symbolize the city's resilience and its ability to adapt in the aftermath of the September attacks. In recent years, New York has continued to grow and evolve with new construction projects that push the boundaries of design and innovation. Major developments like Hudson Yards and the renovation of the Highline Elevated Park have transformed once derelict areas into thriving urban hubs. From its humble beginnings as a small Dutch settlement to its current status as a global metropolis, New York's architectural heritage reflects its rich history and cultural diversity. The city's iconic skyscrapers and landmarks have become symbols of American ingenuity and the pursuit of progress. Now go check out stupid facts about New York you didn't know, or click this other video instead. But don't click this one. Just click that one. Come on, click that one. Why are you still here? Please.